7 months ago, I made the video ranking every Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass track from worst to best. But back then, I only covered waves 1 through 3. Since that day, things have changed. We got 2 new waves, 4 new characters, and I've become 2 years older since that video. So before I rank every Mario Kart 8 Deluxe track, including the Booster Course Pass at the end of 2023, I decided to rank the Booster Course Pass from worst to best again. Something I'll be doing differently is the tier list, starting with the F tiers, and I don't have any. I don't think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has any bad tracks, except for you! And another thing is, I'll try not to use music as a factor. I think every single track's music is great. I want to rank the tracks on aesthetic alone. The final thing is, these are all my opinions. There are 40 tracks in the Booster Course Pass, so my top 3 might be different than yours. But these are my opinions, okay? I don't want you complaining that I ranked 2DS Mushroom Flower over DK's backyard swimming pool. So, yeah. Now with that, we move on to the D tiers. Starting off with our rankings, we have Tours Tokyo Blur. Yeah, this track just isn't good. I don't know, it just feels boring. The lap changing doesn't save the fact that you're just driving on a road. I mean, there's swamps, which, why? And on the 3rd lap, there's literally nothing. No shortcut, just road. 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 When I'm on the road. Well, Toad Circuit. Yeah, what'd you expect? Bad graphics and a basic track can only get you so far. I mean, what can I say? It's Toad Circuit. The layout isn't bad. It's just normal. Too normal. Originally, I placed Merry Mountain in 37th, but then I played the track again, and then I remembered how much this track sucks. Yeah, I know this is biased since I have bad luck with this track, but that doesn't change shit. I still hate this dumb shitty fucking shit. Next up, we have the only SNES track being SNES Mario Circuit 3. And now we're getting into the tracks I like. SNES Mario Circuit 3 isn't a bad track. I know, a SNES track not being bad seems impossible, but I like the basic tracks, and this is a track that doesn't burn my retina, so it's pretty good. And with that, we're done with the D tiers. Moving on with the C tiers, we start off with what? Why are you here? Well, I'll explain that. A lot can change in 7 months, like High Sundae. Originally, I hated this track with a passion. Nintendo literally clickbaited us with this oval track. But after a bit more replaying, this track grew on me. And one of the biggest reasons it's this high is because of a shortcut at the end. If you have a good enough speed, you can cut part of the U-turn, and this is especially fun on 200cc where you don't even need a mushroom to pull it off. Then we have Paris Promenade. This is an interesting track. It's the first track in the Booster Course Pass to change each lap. And when you first played this, you were definitely like, oh shit, the tracks change? But a year and a half later, there's just better city tracks. I don't hate Paris. How could I? They have Ratatouille. But there's just better. Coming in the 34th slot, we got Shroom Ridge. The OG put in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe before Tour Course. Shroom Ridge is just a basic track that had cars, and for the time, it was cool. But since Wave 3 with Berlin Byways getting cars, Shroom Ridge has become irrelevant. Next up, Peach Gardens. And for the Nintendo DS, it's cool, I guess. Now, there's one thing you might not know about me, but I don't hold grudges often. Except for when I do. And I still haven't gotten over the fact that Peach Gardens is in the game. It wasn't even in Tour. Why waste a slot like Peach Gardens when Airship Fortress was right there? It's different from Mario Circuit because that was funny. So, other than that, yeah, Peach Gardens is okay. And it going backwards is okay, even though it's completely unnecessary. Our first Wave 4 track, and I don't care for Bangkok Rush. That's right, Bangkok Rush is kinda mid. The first lap is mediocre, and the subway part, I mean, what's the point of going up? They pulled a Yoshi Valley on that part. And then the crabs. Why? Are crabs special in Bangkok? I don't know. But I do like the 2nd and 3rd lap, and that can only get you so far. What a classic. Choco Mountain is the most regular track in the entire Booster Course Pass. This track is like Cheerios or the color gray. You base everything else compared to it. But I do like the beginning of the track where there's an open space so you don't feel cramped. And there's a cave with minerals. Wait, minerals? And then you fly out of the cave and into a turn with water. Wait, why is there water mixing with chocolate? And that's basically it. Wrapping up the C tiers, we have, oh boy, Sunset Wilds, the first Wave 5 track. It's just a desert track. But in the original, there was a cool mechanic where on the last lap, the sun would go down. But the remake doesn't even do that. I mean, even Tour does that. What's the point of bringing back Sunset Wilds if you're not even going to feature the gimmick that makes it unique? This track is just like Kalimari Desert without the train. This isn't Sunset Wilds, this is just Wilds. Entering the B tier, we have the tracks that are great and I had a good time with. Starting with New York Minute. It's a fun track driving through the city of New York. There's cool buildings, Goombas, and you go into the building. Unfortunately, it's basic and gets 29. Moving on from a city track that takes place at night, to moving on to a city track that takes place at night. Moonview Highway. This track was unexpected. In the Booster Course Pass, we mostly got fan favorites like DK Summit or Coconut Mall. But we got Moonview Highway? There's nothing to write home about. It's just a city track without being a city track, but the music. I know I wouldn't count music, but holy sh**, who let the Moonview Highway cook? This is the best Mario Kart track in terms of music. Kingdom Way might have some competition for my outro, like what the f***? Listen to this stuff. Berlin Byways lands 27th, which, you know, ain't better than 11th, but this still isn't a bad track. The fact that it's a B tier track, while being in the bottom half, shows how Nintendo picks some damn good tracks. But compared to other tracks, yeah, it's an alright. It has a train station, a park, road, womps, and yeah. Okay, this might be a tad bit controversial, but DS Mario Circuit is up next. I know, it's bad since it took Airship Fortress's spot and all that, but come on, that's so funny. This was definitely the most unexpected track, and for that, I love it. Snow Land. Why? Now this was an unexpected track to come to the Booster Course Pass. In my original predictions, I predicted that there wouldn't be a GBA track in Wave 2, and I would have to take a backseat. But not only was I wrong, instead of getting a track fitting for the season like Cheep Cheep Island, Yoshi Desert, or even a Bowser Castle, we got a snow track that didn't even come into tour until December. Overall, it's a solid track. I love the shortcut you can take. What a fall from grace from 6th to 24th, Ninja Hideaway. I mean, I see why people like this track. It's solid, but I don't know. I guess over time, it just fell off. It was only good because it was in Wave 1. And well, now we have better tracks that I'll get into later on. And now Ninja Hideaway is just solid. Not bad, it just exists. Our second Wave 4 track. Amsterdam Drift is pretty good. I would even say it's great. I don't mind the underwater canal section, and I like the beginning where we glide over a train. And the beginning of the third lap is fun too. But my least favorite parts is the field in the beginning. It kind of felt like Moo Moo Farm from Mario Kart 64. And the very end turns, they felt too sharp. Playing it for the first time, it was just confusing. And even though you got used to it, it still wasn't enough to place it higher. Next up is Sky Garden. And well, what do I have to say about it? It's Sky Garden, without Sky Garden. It looks nothing like the original form. And I prefer the blue-green road over the reddish road. And there's no anti-gravity, even though it could have had it. Ending off the B tier and the bottom half, we have Riverside Park. To my surprise, I really like this track. I like the patooies that had items, and the cave ending was interesting. One problem is that on 200cc, which was the CC I played on every track to rank them, Riverside Park is over so fast, and other than that, it's a really good track. Now we have the A tiers that are just great in terms of gameplay. Starting off with Kalimari Desert, this is a good track, but only after the first lap. Yeah, the first lap is just regular Kalimari Desert, and the other two laps are good. Driving on the train tracks while the train is passing by is the scariest thing ever. But other than driving on the train tracks, this track is just okay. Watching the Wave 5 trailer got me hyped for Daisy Cruiser. A week later, I got to play it, and yeah, it's great. I love driving on the cruise ship and love the graphics. I also like how the underground part is an aquarium. I usually take that route. I also like how the two GameCube tracks have an absolute banger so far. Hope they don't ruin it in Wave 6. Next up we got Koopa Cape. Yeah, we all saw this coming to the Booster Course Pass. Could you imagine if this track didn't come to the Booster Course Pass? But I like this track. It mixes features from the original Koopa Cape and the remake on 7, and added a new anti-gravity in the underwater pipe section. Out of all 3 versions, I'd say this is my favorite version of Koopa Cape. This track was originally in the S tier, but after ranking every track, I had to get more picky and move this track down, which just goes to show how good the Booster Course Pass is. This is the highest Wave 1 track, and it makes sense. This is a unique track driving into a mall, and if there's one thing I hate about it, it's the end. The cars just feel annoying and they don't add much. If you're going to play Coconut Mall, I recommend playing it on 200cc because at least you can skip part of the end. And now we have Rock Mountain, Mario Kart 7, the track. It's fitting this ended up being in the Rock Mushroom Cup. And I love how they added anti-gravity to the ending. This track honestly felt perfect for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And I love the shortcuts you can take, but the graphics, they're just okay with the Play-Doh looking ass grass, and yeah. Now we have Maple Treeway, another great track. This track was always good on Wii, and even though the remake on 7 was, it made up for it in its return for the Booster Course Pack. One of the best parts about this track is the fact that it brought back the half pipes, which was a mechanic introduced in Mario Kart Wii, and wouldn't return to a mainline game for 14 years until that day. Now, even though nowadays the half pipes are added regularly, it was still a cool feature to see them come back in Maple Treeway. Next up is DK Summit, a track that takes the half pipes and turns them up to 11. This track has half pipes here, there, everywhere. My favorite half pipe section is right after the cannon, where after drifting left, you go flying off the half pipe. There's also the shortcut where you cut the S turn. Other than that, there's nothing much. The shotguns are cool. It's too bad this is the most it has going for it. We've been getting back-to-back Wii tracks, and it's time to make it back-to-back-to-back with Mushroom Gorge. Now this track is Mushroom Gorgeous. You better laugh. There's the fun mushrooms that you jump on, and there's the gap cut. This track has everything that made the original Mushroom Gorge, plus adding the blue mushroom for Mario Kart 7. If only the track was a bit longer, but I guess that's what happens when you bring back a Mushroom Cup track. Athens Dash is the most unique tour track so far, and I love it because of it. Most city tracks are just driving through the cities, seeing the historical locations, but in Athens, you are in those locations. You drive on a theater, even through some ancient buildings. What's not to love? I guess the last lap where we drive on a cliffside, which, I don't know, didn't really feel like it was part of a city course. Now we have the S tiers. The best of the best. But which will be the best of the best of the best? Well, I'll tell you what track that isn't. Vancouver Velocity. Now, this might be controversial, but I don't get Vancouver Velocity. I mean, it's okay. My favorite part is the suspension bridge, but after that, it's okay. Not a big fan of the skating rink, but I do like everything else. The music is alright. The problem that I have is that this is a nighttime city track. I would much rather play on another nighttime city track that we'll get onto later in this list. Now we have our top 10, starting with Yoshi's Island. Playing this track was so much fun, mostly because this was the first Nitro track that isn't an oval or a square. This is an actual layout. Yoshi's Island is full of references. Now, I have never played the Yoshi's Island games, but I'm sure I would have gotten them if I played them. The music is also different from when you finish the race, and I do like that. Overall, this was the best Nitro track in the Booster Course Pass. Now we got London Loop. For a while, this was my favorite tour track in the Booster Course Pass. But since that video, this track went from perfect to great. And the music was a grand factor in that. And since I'm not counting music as a factor in this video, London Loops is just good. It's still a fun track, but I can't give it more. In our 8th place, we have GBA's Boo Lake. This is the point where the tracks go from great to amazing. Boo Lake looks wonderful, and surprisingly, it's an underwater course that I don't dislike. It's really fun drifting underwater, holding your stick all the way to one side, then releasing that mini turbo, while tricking is one of the best parts of Boo Lake. And it's made its place in the best GBA track of the Booster Course Pass. Waluigi Pinball! Need I say more? You race on a pinball machine. What's next? You drive in a bathroom? Waluigi Pinball is one of the most unique Mario Kart tracks in the entire franchise. more than fucking Tokyo Blur over there. But the only thing holding this track back is no shortcuts and no anti-gravity. Waluigi has some bangers for tracks, but I gotta give the edge to Waluigi Stadium. Look at it, and if you look at Waluigi Pinball, they both look fantastic aesthetically. But look at that stadium, look at that mud! It looks like they took mud from the real world and put it into the game! The half pipes are also not worthless, as near the end there are anti-gravity platforms to take a quick shortcut. And I love how this track takes place at night, but there are so many lights you don't even notice. There's no S plus tier, but if I had to make one, it starts with this track. LA Labs is such a fun track. I love how it's a section tracks. Reminds me of the Wii Resort tracks, and I love it because of it. One of the absolute best tour tracks. The only thing holding this back is the oil ridge, but even then that part isn't even that bad. If there's one track that grew on me the most, it had to be Sydney Sprint. Playing this track for a year made me love it. The opera house, the park, even the grass section with all the turns. All of those is what makes Sydney Sprint so much fun. Coming in at our number 3 spot, we had our number 1 spot, 3DS Rainbow Road. If you compared the old top 3 tracks and compare them where they are right now, Rainbow Road is the only one that's still in the top 3. And how can you replace perfection? 3DS Rainbow Road is one of the best tracks in the entire franchise. The only way to replace perfection is with more perfection. At our second place spot is Squeaky Clean Sprint. Now if you saw my reaction to the track, you can see I was hyped for Wave 5. But when the official trailer came out, I focused more on the retro tracks, and I was less hyped for Sydney Sprint than I was for like Moonview Highway or Daisy Cruiser. And I don't know if I made the right choice or the wrong choice, because after my first time playing that track, it was just so much fun. I love the bathtub section. The drain system had water flowing the same way you were driving, so you drive faster. And the glider over the toilet had a secret route. This definitely was the best track of Wave 5, just barely losing to Singapore Speedway. Kind of ironic that the worst track is a tour track, and Singapore Speedway is the best. I love everything about Singapore Speedway. The track layout, it's okay, but I love immediately being shot out of a cannon to a rooftop with a swimming pool and Goombas. You visit Chinatown, where the music is absolutely crazy. I know I'm not factoring music, but how can I? This was one of the best soundtracks in the game. Why do you think I used to use it early on in my channel? Until Moonview Highway beat it out. But whatever these music artists were on while making their soundtracks, I mean, I kind of want some. Oh, here's some right now. Singapore Speedway is so fun and quirky. It's a me, Atomic Quince, and this is the end of the video. Remember to subscribe.